Welcome back to the channel. This is Holden from Classroom Camp, and in this video I want to talk about Teacher Appreciation Week and some of the gifts that I received from students. I got this idea from one of my YouTube buddies, Teacher Kelly Tag. She posts all kinds of great educational content over on her channel. I'll post a link to that down in the description, but go check out her channel because I think you'll find a lot of very interesting and fun content over there. But she had a live stream this morning where she discussed Teacher Appreciation Week and some of the gifts that she received. And I said, that's a great idea. I think I'm going to try that out because I did receive a few things this week and I thought it was very kind of students, and I want to highlight that. And I debated as to whether I should actually make this video. I had to do a little bit of research because I didn't want this to come off as tasteless, as if I'm bragging about my teacher appreciation haul, because it's not that in any way, shape, or form. And I didn't want, if students were watching, to think that, they didn't give me a gift and so they feel some kind of way about it, or that I feel any kind of way towards them, because it's not that at all. I enjoy the things that I received, and I have some stories to tell. And that's really what this is about, because I want to share some stories about the students who gave me these gifts, and just talk about how here at the end of the school year, I feel that I may have inspired them or touched them in some way. And just a little bit of context here, I am really scruffy today, have not shaved, and really need to, but this was the second to last week to school. Next week is my last week. I believe May 19th is my last day. So I'm really excited about that. And so it's been a long one. It's been a long one. It's been crazy this past week. We had a carnival yesterday, which was bonkers. So, but yeah, I'm going to talk about the gifts and just share a few stories. And remember, if you like this video, I would appreciate if you hit the like button and also consider subscribing to the channel. I would love to have you here as part of the Classroom Camp community. So let's look at some of these gifts. So this here is the first one that I received, and I actually got this the Friday before Teacher Appreciation Week. And I'll open it up here, and it is a simple thank you card. And on the inside, well, there is nothing written, but there is a Chick-fil-A gift card, which will come in handy because, everybody knows Chick-fil-A has good nuggets. So that'll be a great cheat day for me. But this particular student is one that I have had a lot of fun with this year, because they are someone who is always wanting to participate in classroom activities, is always one of the ones who, whenever I am going over an activity and asking for student responses, she is always one of the first ones to raise her hand, and is always just for every question, just about trying to share ideas. What really stood out to me this year was she brought me some poetry. And it was at a time when she had an incident, or something was going on with her family. I believe maybe someone had passed away. And she brought me some poetry and said, hey, would you like to read this? And so I said, yeah, of course. And I read her poetry, and this is a 7th grader. It was really good. It was really good poetry. And for me, as working in ELA, this year has been reading intervention, but working with students on their writing, I love to see this kind of thing. I love when students bring me their writing and just the stories or whatever creative writing that they have, and reading that and giving them some feedback on it and being able to encourage them. And so I saw this and I said, wow, this is great. You need to try and get involved in a poetry contest. And she continued to write some poetry, and would bring me her poetry at certain intervals throughout the year. And so I would just read her poetry and give her feedback. I printed out a list of different poetry contests and ways that she could enter in and submit her poetry to potentially get published or win prizes. And that's just kind of been an ongoing thing throughout this year. And she we I did towards the tail end of the year, I had a little bit of a poetry unit. And that was just another thing I was thinking, I bet she's really going to like this, because we would talk about and interpret poetry, and she always had very meaningful ideas to add to our discussions of certain poems that we talked about. And it was just a lot of fun. And that's not the only student that has brought me their writing, but just one of them. And I love to inspire students in that way and just push them forward. There is another student that is trying to write a story, trying to write a book, and I'm trying to get her. She's like, I don't think I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna start over. And I always say, no, just finish the book. Finish the book. Get it published. You need to just finish it. And so I'm always trying to push students like that. And so she gave me this thank you card for Teacher Appreciation Week, and yeah, I appreciate that in return. This one here was also another just a shock to me, even more so because I actually got this today. And we had a fire drill today. So all of the students had to exit the building and get to safety, and then we're just standing out there in the field, and the student walks up to me and says, "This is for you." It was like he just pulled it out of his jacket or his shirt or something. I don't know where it came from, but he just pulled it out of nowhere. It was like, "This is for you." And it was kind of crumpled up and everything. And I was like, what is this? He says, "Oh, it's just for you." So I opened it up and had a card. Whoops, I hit the camera. I had a card with a bunch of smiley faces on it. And I opened it up here and it says, "Dear Mr. Harris, you are a great teacher." Well, I appreciate that. And I like to think that I'm the greatest teacher. But it also had a $5 bill in there. So I'm $5 richer here. And that means a lot. And what I like about this is that the student actually wrote this. And they put their name in there with a little star. And this student is one of my my go-to helpers. One of my go-to helpers. And I told him at the beginning of the school year, I said, "You remind me of my cousin. There's something about you. You remind me of my cousin." And this particular cousin of mine, he actually just graduated from law school, passed the bar exam, and he passed some kind of other thing recently, but he's well on his way to becoming I think he does contract law. But this student just kind of has that mind. He kind of has some of the same mannerisms and just reminds me a lot of one of my cousins. And I was like, "Yeah, you're like my cousin." And I don't know about law. I don't know if that's his thing, but I will tell you that he is an amazing artist. I was just passing by his desk the other day, and he had all these, kids these days have tattoos. They get Sharpies and markers, and they just draw these tattoos all over each other. And this student had some amazing artwork that he had drawn on himself. And I said, "Wow, that is crazy." I mean, it's really, really good. It looked like, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if these were real tattoos, because it looked like it. But that could potentially be his calling. Honestly, I could see him in the future being a tattoo artist just based on that. And I don't really see him drawing in notebooks. Some of my students draw in notebooks and have all kinds of great artwork as well, but he draws on himself and he draws on other people as well. So that's really interesting to see kind of how his art manifests in that way. But I'm like, "Hey, I thought you were going to be a lawyer, but you could be a tattoo artist, and I think you would be really good at it. So whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. But he always comes up to me at the end of the day. He says, "Mr. Harris, got anything to pass out?" And so he's always wanting to pass out papers at the end of the day in my last class, and I'm like, "Sure, I got something for you." Or sometimes I send him to other classes to pass out papers or deliver things for me. And today he our sweeper wasn't in class, and he's like, "Mr. Harris, can I sweep?" He's always wanting to do something at the end of the day. So I really appreciate him. We have built a great rapport. And yeah, I appreciate that card from him. I think more than anything, just hearing from students that they appreciate you, that they acknowledge you in that way, I think that means a lot, regardless of any gift or anything. So I like that he hand wrote that, and it means a lot. And my last, and I guess you could say largest gift, it came in this bag here, and I was impressed somewhat because I know this student's mother, and I'm not at all surprised by that. I'm like, she knows what she's doing here. But let me open this up. So it's nicely done with some tissue. And the first thing that I pulled out of here was, as I always do, the card. So there's a card. And it has a nice little, let me cover up the name here. It has a nice little saying on it. It says, "A good teacher is a master of simplification and an enemy of simplism." Louis Berman. I've never heard that. And on the back, he has written his name, "To Mr. Harris, I appreciate you." And it's got a printed tag with his name on it. So that's impressive. But so I like that. And inside the bag, there is a Valentine's Day notepad. Well, but look, just ignore that. It says "Love to Teach." So who cares that it says Valentine's Day? Because this is perfect for a teacher. It says "Love to Teach," and I take notes and make checklists and things like that to keep on my desk and remind myself of things. So this is perfect, and I'm going to use this next year. So this will go in my teacher supply. And then the last thing, something that I really liked, and looks like there are 2 of these in here. Okay, so I did not realize that. But 2 notepads. And something that I really like is this travel kit. And maybe it's because they know that I will be traveling during the summer, because I am actually going to be moving this summer. But yeah, got this travel kit, and this is perfect because the one that I have it's kind of like a very minimalist bag, and that's kind of how I've done it. But this is a little bit nicer, I would say, and it just has kind of like some pleather material, which kind of matches my bag. I have a brown travel bag that I use, as you can see here, the Steve Madden bag. And I've gotten a lot of these types of bags over the years because I feel like I always get one from like a family member at Christmas at some point. But this one is one that I do actually plan on using. I really like this bag, and I plan on using it. I have a lot of them just kind of up in my bathroom cabinet that just store various items, but I think I'm actually going to put this in my travel bag. So I'm pulling out all the stuff in this travel kit. I'm trying to see what all is in here, if there is anything. And it doesn't look like anything is in here, except for... So it just had this bottle inside. And I guess, let me set this over here. I guess I can put some pills in here. No, I do take medicine when I travel. But no, 30 milliliters. I don't know. I don't know what I'll put in here, but it could be useful for something. contact solution. I don't know. I have a contact bottle. But yeah, that's what I got for teacher appreciation. And to talk about that student. So, this student and I have had quite a few, how should I put this? Tiffs throughout the year. I'm just going to call them tiffs. This student is one of those students that loves to talk. Loves to talk. And just, you know, it's hard to separate. It's hard to move them to any location in the classroom because no matter where you put them, they got somebody to talk to. It's one of those kinds of students. And they're going to talk to people, even people that they don't know. And so they've kind of gotten into some trouble in my class. And at one point in the year, I would say the low point of the year, the student got into some trouble. I reprimanded them for something, and they called me a very bad name, or they used some very derogatory terminology to describe me in some way, and they got into some trouble, and it was a whole deal. There was like a school hearing and everything that followed after this one incident. But I will say that these are the kinds of students that I really appreciate having the opportunity to work with, because it's now at the end of the school year, and this student is one of my favorite students. And I've always liked the student, regardless of anything that has gone on in class, but has really shown themselves as being someone who is developing their character. And that is one of my goals as a teacher. They say that as a male teacher, I have some type of advantage. I don't necessarily see that as the case. But they say that, as a male teacher, you're sought after because male teachers are more rare than female teachers, which is true. And I think that as a male teacher, I do feel that I have the opportunity to have an influence on young male students. And this particular boy, and all of the boys that are in the 7th grade class I work with, I think in some ways they do look up to me. They try to test me, but we have some rapport. But at the end of the day, boys will be boys and men will be men. And I think that I have a certain type of personality that, I'm gonna train you how to responsibility and trust and leadership. A lot of these boys, and this one in particular, I entrust them with things to do. A lot of times, like this particular boy, I've given him my keys and asked him to go maybe fetch something out of my car, or he has gone and delivered something to my car, or gone across the school on an errand for me. A lot of different things like that. And he is exceptional at math. There was a time during the year where I had to, despite the fact that I'm in a reading intervention class, I had to do a lot of things with math, and he is exceptional at math and ELA and tries his best. He is not a student to put in subpar work, despite some of the behavior things that have happened throughout the year. He is always trying to participate, always trying his best, and he either doesn't do his work or he does it and he puts effort into it. And that's something that I really appreciate. But to see this student mature throughout the year and just has a great personality overall. He is kind of sneaky. But he is someone who is great to be around. And his father actually teaches right across from me. So, and sometimes with behavior stuff, sometimes I've sent him to his father. But it's just a great student. Really, really fun to be around. Is always coming up to me with questions and craziness, and it's just a joy to be around. And I think that for me, I've tried my best to be inspirational, to try and show him that there is forgiveness and grace. After that incident with him calling me something. He came and apologized. And he wrote me a letter, I believe, and I forgave him, and we've moved on. And I think that that's something that, as young boys and men, I try to train the boys that I work with. We don't hold grudges. We own up to our behavior. We take responsibility for the mistakes that we make. We try to own up to them. We try to make them right, and we try to move on. And that's one of those students, compared to the other boy that that gave me the previous gift. And I talked about him being an artist and stuff. I haven't really. That's a whole different rapport that I have with that student. This is one of those students who, tall male student that I think has a lot of leadership qualities and has a lot of potential, as they all do, but is someone who needs that extra push, who needs male role models in their life to show them the way. And I think that I've had the opportunity to do that with this student, and have really appreciated in return the chance to have him as my student. So those are my teacher appreciation gifts, as well as just some quick stories. Well, it looks like this video is running quite long, so I wouldn't necessarily say quick stories, but just stories. And this was just a whole rambling teacher blog that I wanted to do about that. But to all you teachers out there, happy Teacher Appreciation Week to you. I hope that you have enjoyed this. I hope that in some way someone has told you that they appreciate you. If not, just remember that I am saying it here, and I appreciate you. So I don't know. That's really all that I have to say, but thank you for watching. Remember that if you enjoyed this talk, hit that like button. That helps me out here on the channel. Consider subscribing to the channel and stay connected with the Classroom Camp community. Again, my name is Holden. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.